Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Bonus file written by Jules Lin, The Night Shift Glitch. I used to work as a sleep study technician at various sleep clinics. When I first got the job, a few of my fellow techs warned me about the haunted clinic. I thought they were joking. They weren't. They told me about the creepy things that would happen there. Some techs refused to work there again. I was already assigned to a couple of clinics and hoped I would never have to work at the haunted one. It was probably a year into the job when the tech who was working that clinic quit, and I was asked to take over there starting that night. Dread started building up in the pit of my stomach when I saw that place. It was a creepy old Victorian mansion that was divided up into a bunch of doctors' offices, around 130 years old, based on a little research I did on it later. It originally belonged to some prominent local politician, then was turned into apartments, then into offices. I told myself it was just an old house, no big deal. I walked into the dark lobby, turned on the lights, and walked up the creaky stairs to the sleep clinic on the second story. I took a tour of the clinic, getting myself acquainted with it. I felt fine until I got to what was formerly a kitchen, and was now used as a storage or prep room. I started feeling uneasy. Right next door was the final room, which was one of the bedrooms the patients would sleep in. I hated that room. Bad vibes as soon as I stepped into it. I didn't even believe in places being haunted, but that room made me start to consider it. It was always so much colder than the rest of the clinic. Poor insulation, I would tell myself. Doors would swing open on their own. It's just gravity. The doors aren't level, I would tell myself. I would hear creaking floorboards when I knew there was no one else in the building, just the sleeping patients and myself. Old houses creak, I would tell myself. I would think I saw shadows and lights out of the corner of my eye. Just my imagination. That one room kept getting infested with bugs, but never other rooms. The TV in there kept breaking. The light bulbs kept going out. The sleep study equipment would malfunction. The patients I put to sleep into that one room would complain. It was too cold, it felt creepy. They felt like they were being watched. No one ever complained about the other bedroom in the clinic. I worked nights in that clinic for a couple years. Finally, one day at the end of my shift, I woke up the patient who was sleeping in the problem room. I knew she slept poorly based on her sleep study. I asked her how she was feeling. She told me that she didn't sleep well because she kept dreaming over and over again that there were dead bodies in the walls. I could tell she was scared. I couldn't take it anymore after that. After the patients left, I had to go back in that room and clean it up as I trembled and thought about how I was all alone in the building. When I finished up, I literally ran out of the building to my car. I decided to finally quit. Turns out I didn't have to. The doctor decided to close that clinic. I had to work another 2 or 3 nights there. Thankfully on those nights, I only had one patient, so I was able to put them in the good bedroom and leave the problem room alone. Case notes for file 1338, The Night Shift Glitch. So a sleep study clinic within a haunted building, or specifically a haunted room, is about the most unfortunate place to have a sleep study clinic as I can imagine. Talk about outside interference. No one could sleep good there. As convinced as I am the majority of spirits are good and harmless, I don't think I'd manage to spend years working in a haunted place, even if it was a friendly ghost, and even if I needed the money. You're kind of one tough cookie to tough it out for years. Especially after a customer was complaining about dreams involving bodies inside the walls? Who knows? Wouldn't look myself, but it could just explain the bad juju. Case file number 1339, written by Squeaky TITS 101. The missing clothes. This seemingly small incident happened this past Tuesday, and since then it's been constantly on my mind. I'm not wired to just let it go, so I can't stop thinking about it without resolution. Anyways, to the story. I go through the same routine every morning when getting my kids ready for school. I wake up the eldest, walk into the laundry room attached to her room, turn on the light, and open the sliding door to the living room. Go back to the eldest's room and grab her clothes we laid out the previous night, pinching them together so I don't drop anything. lay her clothes on the couch and go back, the 10 feet, to her room and grab my youngest's outfit, pinching it together and lay them beside her sister's. I then walk back to the eldest room, the same 10 feet I've walked now for the 4th time in the span of under a minute, get her to actually get out of bed so she can start getting dressed. I then walk 4 feet across the hall and wake her, and then I leave the room and let her stay cozy for 5 minutes or so. At this point, I start filling water bottles and signing folders and then go back to the youngest room to get her out of bed and dressing. Now, this past Tuesday, everything went according to routine until the transition between 6 and 7. As I walked out of the youngest's room from her first wake-up, the oldest came around the corner and asked, "Where's my skirt?" I told her I laid them on the couch with her shirt and other clothes and walked in there to show her, only to see there was no skirt or underwear. Okay, must have dropped it. I retrace the 10 feet and it's nowhere to be seen. I look under the couch, not there. Under the cushions or in the creases of the couch, nothing but crayons and crumbs. Alright, so the missing skirt is weird enough, but to me, the weirdest part is what is missing. I lay her clothes out in the order she puts them on. So skirt on bottom, then shirt. Then panties and socks laid side by side on top of the shirt. The shirt and socks were there, but the skirt and panties have somehow freaking vanished? This is her favorite outfit that she picked out. I know she didn't shove it somewhere. No one else was awake when I laid everything out. I have tossed my entire house, and I've come up empty-handed. I cannot think of one logical explanation. I'm exhausted from thinking about this and just want to let it go, but like I said, I'm not wired that way. It's coming up in a week, and the skirt is still nowhere to be found. What the hell? Case answer file 1339. The lost clothes. The missing garments are very creepy indeed. Did some entity manage to cause its disappearance? I don't think it's a human in this case, like those stories of people living in the walls or attic, since in that case there'd be signs, and this kind of thing would keep happening. Something entirely invisible, maybe. But something definitely took it, and it was intentional, given what was missing. Creepy for sure. And now time for the quote of the day. I always wanted a happy ending. Now I've learned the hard way that some poems don't rhyme, and some stories don't have a clear beginning, middle, and end. Life is about not knowing, having to change, taking the moment and making the best of it without knowing what's going to happen next. Delicious ambiguity. Gilda Radner. It's the thrill of the unknown and indeed not knowing. I mean, think about it. If you knew everything that was going to happen, then there would be no excitement left. Do you really want that? People often, if they're gifted 3 wishes, they ask for ultimate knowledge, to the ability to know everything. Maybe instead of automatically knowing everything, the power should be the ability to look it up, almost like a cosmic Wikipedia, and just, you could look up anything you wanted, but it has to be willed. You don't just automatically know everything that's going to happen, or any information about a given object or something or person. You have to intentionally will it, and then you know. Maybe then it could be fun, because there's sometimes, nagging things that you want to know, the secrets to the universe, what's inside a black hole, all that kind of information. And knowing its objective would be rather neat. Yeah. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.